Good evening, everyone. The West Coast community is devastated tonight with the announcement the Wilderness Railway will stop operating after April. The closure will affect more than 100 businesses now facing an uncertain future. But the region says the train hasn't run out of steam and is preparing to fight to keep the tourism icon on track.
Steaming up for the first time since the announcement. While railway staff kept a smile, there was little for Tracks Cafe owner Joy Chappelle to be happy about.
I was in shock yesterday, but today it's definitely turned to anger after a very sleepless night.
Joy took out a lease from Federal Group for her trackside business just 5 months ago, intending to cater to an influx of tourists. She'd never have imagined an ending like this.
I'm going to have to shut down, sack 8 staff and lose thousands of hours of work that I've put into it, not to mention tens of thousands of dollars.
Joy says she's angry at the state government, who owns the infrastructure.
Take a bit of responsibility, just wake up to yourselves.
And that's a woman who's come into the West Coast, like a lot of us, with all her investment and ploughed all her investment into the West Coast. She's only one of them, sorry.
Brett Cannon took over the West Coaster Motel a little more than a year ago and had planned a $250,000 upgrade.
We've spent over $150,000 already on the property, but as of last night, the news, that's all ceased. Everything's been put on hold now.
He says 70% of his clientele come to the West Coast for the railway experience.
It's hard to put a dollar figure on that sort of market, but you're looking anywhere yearly, $500,000 more.
The railway was built in the 1800s and after closing in 1963, it was reinvigorated in the 90s.
It's a very important part of Tasmania, and the people that do live and work here generate a lot of income, and we're saddened. Simple as that.
Today, tourists from as far as Queensland boarded the train.
I'm glad I've got a chance to go on it today, and it'll be a big shame if it doesn't keep going.
Talking to people about it, they all said that you must make sure you go on it, so which is in fact why we're here today.
This may be where the adventure ends for tourists travelling from Queenstown, but locals are hoping it's not the end of the line for the railway. West Coast tourism officials say they're working hard to keep the railway alive.
The Mayor's organising a public meeting in Queenstown for Thursday, and I think that'll be well attended, and I think that'll be the start of the saving of the railway. So
We need the people who've been on the train to say to the world, this is an amazing thing, and these are the reasons why we've got to keep it.
West Coast Tourism says it will lobby the state government for action. Everyone hoping for light at the end of the tunnel. Madeline Slattery, Southern Cross News.
And the plight of the railway dominates political discussion. Tourism leaders calling for immediate action from the state government. The Tourism Council warning of dire consequences if the railway ceases operating in April.
The Tourism Council called an emergency board meeting, deciding its position on the apt railway. Luke Martin wants to hear a strong show of support from the state government.
They will guarantee that this product will not end on May 1, and they need to give that guarantee as soon as possible. A longer term solution as they can then work through.
The council emphasising the region's reliance on tourism.
You cannot mess with the West Coast tourism industry, the magnitude of what removing that product would actually do.
The West Coast will be devastated if this is allowed to stop.
The state government says it's exploring ways to keep the railway open beyond April.
We want to send a message to the West Coast community and the tourism industry that we'll do all we can to ensure that we can build a sustainable business model to ensure that we can get this project and get this rail back on track.
The federal government's invested $32 million, and I'm sure that the federal government will not want to throw that away.
David O'Byrne says there's no penalty for the federal group opting out of the 20-year lease.
When you enter a lease, you enter into it on goodwill. They've made a decision to walk away. We're extremely disappointed with that.
But the Tourism Council says the blame should not be directed at the federal group.
So you can't question the commitment of a Tasmanian-based company, our sole large operator who activates in the state.
It's estimated $15 to $20 million needs to be spent over the next 5 years on upgrading infrastructure. The Liberals don't support the operation being propped up by the state government.
What the government should do and what we would support is picking up our very sensible plan from last year to invest $16 million in tourism marketing.
The Greens leader has an idea from left field.
There may be an opportunity for some of the forest IGA money to be used to invest in infrastructure at the Apt Railway, but it would require the Legislative Council to pass the forest legislation.
Alex Johnston, Southern Cross News.